When we talk about posho and beans, we cannot forget to highlight the impact that colonialists and missionaries left on this land. They say their intention was to help. What I can call unfortunate, they didn't take time to dive into the African culture. So they termed it backward. So whoever practiced the African culture was termed to be, that is a backward person. He's indigenous. So the Africans were forced to divert from their diet, to go on the colonial diet, because what a master eats is what is perfect.
Welcome back, everyone, to a new episode of Body and Soil podcast. Today, I'm introducing you to Alfred Atwongyeire, a nutritionist and the founder of Nutri-Safe Communities. He and his team of Ugandan nutritionists will be partnering with us to help build scalable solutions for better health and nutrition. In this episode, what you're going to hear is Alfred's personal story, from growing up in Ugandan school system that serves children mainly maize and beans, to understand where this reality comes from and why it needs to change. I believe that the solution to many of our challenges lies in passionate people like Alfred who choose to take initiative and create change. So let's dive in. Alfred, super nice to have you here at Body and Soil.
Well, it's my pleasure.
We're sitting right now, for those of you who are not watching us, we're sitting right now in the courtyard of Body and Soil. And the beautiful thing about this is that these rooms we renovated for people to come here and stay, especially like experts, to work with us, so the team. So having you here, sitting right now in this courtyard, somebody that we're going to be working with as a nutritionist with Nutri-Safe Communities, it feels really nice.
That's so nice.
And we even have like this beautiful calabash tree, also a tree that people don't know so much, right?
Yeah. In fact, when I reached here, it was my first time to see it.
You were like, what was that, right?
Yeah.
What do you do with the tree, right? Were you thinking that too?
Yes, those were the questions running around my mind.
So what we do, we have Joshua here, and Joshua takes these calabashes because you can make a wine out of it, but because we're not so alcohol drinkers here, we do take the calabashes, we dry them, we take the fruit out, and then we use them as really beautiful. Joshua has made these amazing containers like that.
Well, I saw them.
Exactly. And what's so nice about it is that when you see, you can use innovations that you can make and that people, the possibilities that people have just to to be creative here at Body and Soil. That's for also a huge goal of.
That's amazing.
Isn't it? So I just wanted to say welcome to Body and Soil once more. Thank you for being here. And before we even get started, you are the CEO, the founder of Nutri-Safe Communities.
Exactly.
And we just met by chance. So totally by chance. And I believe, as I always say, that the right people find you. You don't even have to go out. If you put yourself out there and talk and preach what you want to preach and deliver your message, people will find you.
Wow.
And that's how you found us too, kind of, right?
Yes, exactly. And it was always our prayer, and we couldn't see it come true. And when we met, you said, wow.
What happened with the first time when you stepped in the Body and Soul classroom? How did you feel? Or being here?
First of all, I felt reconnected to my ancestors. When I saw the art and craft work of the clay, the wood, I felt like, wow, I'm now home.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Was there a feeling of, somebody is also doing nutritional solutions?
Exactly, just like you have said, when I saw what was being done, especially the products that had been developed, I saw how I have been struggling devising means on drafting the recipes for my clients, diabetic clients, hypertensive clients, and we have been having a lot of time. But when I saw how you have prayed around the recipes, the bean recipes, the scones, and I was like, so this is amazing.
Oh, that's so cool. That's amazing. So you also are a very, very passionate nutritionist, and I believe that passion is what drives change.
Exactly.
So what is Nutri-Safe Communities? You founded Nutri-Safe Communities. What is it exactly?
Nutri-Safe Communities, I break it into two words. That is Nutri, which means nutrition, and safe, which means someone has to be nutritionally safe. Now, for this to come up, It was an encounter of a situation where I had my mother admitted into the hospital, and she was diabetic by that time. And we were managing her on medications, 2 insulin injections every day. And I myself, I was doing internship at that hospital. So sometimes I would be the one to do the injections. It put a very big burden on my mind. And I was like, can't something be done to solve all this? That someone has to go through all this to get better health? So that's why I said, can't people be nutritionally safe anyway? Then that's when I started the Nutri-Safe Communities.
And at that time, you had just started your journey with nutrition, right?
Yes, it was in my first internship.
And how many nutritionists are now working together with you at Nutri-Safe?
I have so far 5 actively working with me.
And what exactly do you do?
First of all, among our best specific objective is to make sure that we have skilled nutritionists and passionate nutritionists out there to the community, delivering quality nutrition services. Because among what we realized when my mother was admitted is the gap of nutrition in the hospital. So we think that we can bridge that gap in the hospital and as well take it to the villages through community nutrition, because we don't need to wait for these people to first be admitted while it can be avoided.
So do you see when you're in the hospitals, is there a rising amount of people becoming more and more sick with illnesses such as type 2 diabetes?
Exactly. Because for me, I volunteer at Kisolo District Hospital and day and night numbers are increasing at the chronic care clinic. It's quite alarming because this is something that was not in Africa some good years back. It's a new thing to many of them, to an extent that most of them takes hard for them to believe it, thinking it's witchcraft.
Wow, that's crazy. And you were telling me you have a grandfather. Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Well, I had a very, very good, amazing grandfather. He went to rest, eternal rest, after living for 125 years.
Wow.
And after being a nutritionist, I never knew why would he live to that age. Initially, I thought it was more of a gene. We have that gene. But when I have seen my uncles go to rest before reaching his age, and after learning nutrition, I went deep and knew what he was eating.
What was he eating?
It was amazing. They told me that he never used to have a meal without a vegetable on his plate.
Wow.
That was unacceptable for him. He used to eat mushrooms from the forest. He lived near the forest. Mushrooms were always there. And then vegetables were key. And then he used to farm sorghum. So fermented products were always in his home.
And we both know that's an amazing diet.
Exactly. That is what we preach.
Yeah. Fermented foods, vegetables, variety, all those things, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. And how, you also said, how did he pass away?
It's amazing that for those 125 years, he had never fallen sick. And the day he fell sick is the day he went to rest. And he was an African traditional man, believing in African spiritual life. And of course, due to the coming of missionaries and stuff, all his family members were converted, some to Catholic, others Anglican, until he was also persuaded to join when he was almost dying. Because in Africa, they will say, if you die before joining these religions, you're going to hell. So after all that, he said, okay, baptize me. And then he rested.
So you grew up as a Ugandan, how many of my team, I think all of my team have grown up going to school and eating a specific meal. How was it like to grow up in Uganda and eat that specific meal that I would like you to talk about? How was it like?
Actually, I can say that growing up in Uganda in the current situation is something that is not easy. And as someone who has studied nutrition, I realized that my hating school could have resulted from the type of nutrition that we used to have, because I joined boarding school in P1, primary one. And of course, to the village, they think you're well off. Since you can educate someone in a boarding school, you're well off. But what we were eating in the boarding schools alone, it tortured me until I was almost feeling like running out of school, because I used to love the food at home. But at school, the main dish was posho. and then beans. And when I say about beans, it's not these that you're going to have a spoonful of beans. It's sauce from the beans, soup from the beans, and then countable seeds of beans hanging in the sauce. And that is P1. And then I was in the boarding school until...
Was there any vegetables ever served?
They used to cut cabbage into the beans, but cabbages were also countable. You would be having like 3 pieces hanging in the soup, and that is it.
So when you had that cabbage, you had that few strings of cabbage, few beans. Could you show me was it like a handful of beans, and how much was the size of if you would if I would have a plate, how much of that would be maize meal porridge?
It's the posho covering the whole plate.
The whole plate.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it's beans poured on top. It's the soup poured on top of the posho, and then the beans hanging around. It can't make a palm.
So
not even a half.
Palm of beans. Not even a palm of beans.
It can't.
Wow. And hardly any vegetables.
No. Just strings of cabbage hanging around.
Oh my God. And did you ever have health issues because of that?
I used to feel sick more often.
Yeah?
Yeah. Malaria, and then flu, colds. They were part of not only me, even all the students around. And
did you ever connect it with nutrition? Did you ever think about it?
I had to connect it after having the nutrition background. And currently I can say that is the worst diet someone can ever have in life, because the posho, and moreover, it's this highly milled posho. They get the husks off, they put it into the first step, remove the another part, and then that white starchy component of the maize is the one that is milled, because that's what they call number one in Uganda. So they all like the number one. So that's what we used to eat. But after having the science, we know how that shoots your sugars high, those glucose spikes. No wonder how ulcers used to disturb us those days.
So is there a connection between the ulcers that the children are having and the maize meal porridge, the posho that children are eating every day?
Exactly. There is a big linkage, and more research has to be done, but there is a big linkage as long as you're eating the simple fibers, as long as you're eating the simple sugars, then you're feeding a very different bacteria. You're feeding the bad bacteria. And posho, number one posho, is a simple carbohydrate. Then we are feeding the bad bacteria, the H. pylori that is dominating in Africa and Uganda. That's why we are having more cases of ulcer. For me, I anticipate it's a hypothesis. We need to do more research. I
cannot agree more with you. I've been saying this since day one that I've been working in Africa, that it's the posho that's causing the ulcers. One of the main reasons. Of course, it's also missing vegetables.
Yes, we also have to link it to the stress that we go through when we are at school. It's a lot of stress. How would you tell me that 6 years you're waking me up for prep and morning reading? It used to humiliate me mentally. And I would be stressed the whole day because I woke up early in the morning at 6 or sometimes at 5, preparing to go to class. I'm having classes for the entire day, no sleeping. That's stress alone. And we know how stress is linked to ulcer and lowering of the immune system.
Wow. That's so true. Because I haven't grown up here, I connected it also with stress, but you explaining that exactly makes it easier for me to understand as well. And
of course, in the current kindergarten schools, especially for the high-end families, I'm also seeing them practice the very same thing, where we see shuttles going around homes early in the morning at 6, at 5, collecting these children, taking them at school. We all know that children should rest for 14 to 17 hours a day. It's not like a normal old human being that is 7 to 8 hours a day, but children should sleep for 14 to 17 hours a day. But they are waking up early, going to bed late, and that is a lot of impact on their health.
Why isn't this knowledge there?
I think there are many factors that could be causing that gap of knowledge. First of all, we can say that our indigenous lifestyle of Africans was redesigned. because these education systems are not the ones that our grandfathers used to go through. They will teach you farming, teach you practical things, how to live in that life. But with this modernity of education, I think all factors were not considered to ensure that someone can go through the modern education but still protect their health. So there is that big gap of knowledge.
How did we get posho and beans? How did maize meal, how do you think that maize meal porridge and beans became like the staple that is not just eaten in schools, it's eaten in institutions, it's eaten in universities. I don't know where else it's eaten in, but it's seen as the food.
But with them coming, there was introduction of the maize, of the posho. Their initial intent are here. They produced that maize to be the staple food for the people who were working in mines and building the railway so that they can have a lot of energy to work for long hours throughout the day. So that's how they brought the maize. And then with them coming, they came with their culture. So all that, I think by the introduction of the posho into the workers, then the workers used to go home and take the posho still at home, and they saw it was working. And still, when we say, how did it come to institutions? It is still the missionaries and the colonialists that established these schools. They are the ones that designed the diets that used to be eaten in these schools. So after designing the diet, and I think it was more, I think they took it on an economic lens. How can we feed these big numbers easily? Oh, posho can grow, weather resistant and all that. So it was easy for them to produce the posho and feed the children. But I think they didn't dive deeper and say how the posho is impacting the children. And another thing that they missed is realizing the richness of the African diet. Because if they had taken intent to learn the African diet, no one would ever deny an African diet. Even up to now, when we go to the Western world, you'll find African foods being listed among the 10 first superfoods. Millet, sorghum, all those are African indigenous foods. So they didn't take time to learn the African diet.
When we talk about African foods, like you just mentioned, millet, why is it that we can't get millet on children's plates? Or do you think there is a possibility that we could get healthier indigenous foods back onto school plates?
Yes, it is. To me, it is 100% possible.
You know, you work with organizations. You work with a lot of organizations. How have you seen things work? Like, are there methods that you saw this is working to really help change the diet? I know you had one specific school that you were working with.
Yes.
How exactly was your approach to actually change the diets in the schools? How did that happen?
For me, after knowing all this, having the nutrition and being passionate about nutrition, that's when I went. I was managing a client, and then the son has a school. That client had diabetes. And then the son asked me, what could be causing this increase in diabetes? I told him, some of the foods you're feeding these children, that highly processed posho is among the pre-exposing factors. The canteen, what you're having on the canteens, the cakes and stuff, is among the pre-exposing factors. I told him, but there is a lot that you can do. You can favor these children not to take the same load. He said, sure. I said, you can start introducing the local indigenous foods and we shape their diet. He said, oh, they are going to strike. They will not accept. And I told him, try it. When he tried it, indeed, they strike. They didn't eat I told him, process the posho. Let us not leave the posho. Process it. Don't remove the husks. Let it be whole. Give it to them. And then they refused to eat the posho. I said, give me a class with them. I took up biology and agriculture. I taught them the basics of nutrition. All classes, senior 1 to senior 4. And after studying it, I sat with them, said, let us now draw. Let us draw the meal plan of what you're going to be eating. I was shocked and I was surprised because it was the students telling me, supper, we can eat millet bread. Lunch, we can eat sweet potatoes. Then we have to be having beans in a bigger amount. And then Vegetables, I said, vegetables, would you access them? They say, yeah, sure, we are going to farm them around the fence. And it was an amazing approach because we do believe that when people suggest what is to be implemented to them, they take it up. Because up to now, as I speak, I'm very happy because of that school.
Oh,
they can still take the indigenous foods. And one time you will travel there and you will see how amazing the school is. And
that's so amazing. What were the key factors for its actual success?
The first key factor is that the director of the school was supportive.
Mm.
He took up the idea to help the students. That was the first step. And then another step is that giving the students the knowledge, because they were acting out of ignorance to refuse the other number one, the good portion. But after being informed, they all accepted. So information delivery to the people that are receiving the interventions.
If you go back there, they're still doing it?
Yes, they're doing it.
Wow.
They're doing it.
That's amazing.
Sure.
I love that.
And just like you have reminded me, I need to go back there and then we start the studies. We see how has been the history, because I know the director has been having records of students going for sick leaves, attending the sick bay. So how many students are now attending the sick bay? That is another good survey that can be done, and we see the impact. But I'm sure where a vegetable is, where beans are, something must change.
And do they take some of the stuff back to their homes?
In that specific school, we haven't extended it to their homes. But I do believe that since those are one of the reasons that why Nutri-Safe was established, so that such people who are compliant we can have that knowledge delivered even to their communities.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's also why you're here at Body and Soil, because I see exactly you're the type of person that likes to look at, you see the challenge and you start putting together the pieces like a puzzle, and you start saying, oh, well, we can do this. And oh, yeah, well, if we do this. So just a few minutes ago, you put together a whole plan of how we can work together. And I'm really looking forward to working together with your nutritionist, with you, with the students, the nutrition students coming in here. I really see an amazing interaction happening.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
I have a few more questions to you. Do you believe, we just talked about the school, do you believe that real change is possible at all? It's a really big job, right? We know it's even when we were talking about how we can go about it in the future, we're connecting the communities, the kids, the parents not being able to afford school fees. Exactly. And that's why they can only buy posho, because they try to buy the cheapest food. So how do you solve that problem? How do you grow the plants that are not being attacked by pests? There's so many things that are connected. So do you believe that there could be a possibility for us to create change that lasts?
I do believe and strongly believe that we can create that lasting change. But this has to be done through a multi-sectoral approach. Just like you have said, we have all organizations and ministries come together. Each one pull out what they can. Just like I said, when I came here at Body and Soil and saw what you were doing, if we can have people like you, the organization like this, on ground working with people, using the food they like, because sometimes students dislike these indigenous foods because they are cooked badly. But when I came here, I was twisting the recipe. I was tasting, Bachiga loves sweet potatoes. When I taste the sweet potato and then I taste the bean, everything is different. It's a nice touch. So if we can have such good recipes delivered to schools, and then if we can have the agricultural setup adjusted for me, I do prefer agroecological farming with a focus on indigenous foods. First of all, they are disease resistant. Secondly, they don't need intensive input. Their seeds are regenerative, because many farmers are losing out in farming, because if you farm maize this season, next season you have to buy new seed. I was surprised when I started seeing oranges without seeds. I was like, where are we heading to? How can you have a fruit without a seed? Then where is the future? So we need to have that approach of agroecological farming where you feed the soil and let the soil feed you. That system. And then, of course, the government has to come on board. The government has a role to play, just like we said that in schools, if a director doesn't embrace certain thing, it doesn't prosper. The government has to embrace such things, and I'm glad they are working on the school feeding program. It is a core out that such innovations can be embraced. I wish that organizations like yours can be hosted on the technical planning committee of the school feeding program, because I know your touch can be well implemented in these schools and students will like their indigenous meals.
People also love the body and soil approach is it's holistic. It's a little bit more complicated because you have to really look at the whole picture, right? But I think we can only create that change if everybody puts their input in, and also everybody's pulling.
Exactly. Because what the approach I've been seeing with Body and Soil and what I have learned from here, each one has something to contribute to the result. The community is there. People who are working with Body and Soil are also there. And then the ideas are being shared together. So any product you come up with, it will definitely be accepted, because it was not the idea of Body and Soil alone. Even the people to whom the product is going to, they were involved in the development of the product. So it must be accepted, undeniable.
Yes. And that's the amazing part, that you can actually test the recipes that we do. You test them right away with the kids.
Exactly.
If it doesn't work, you know it's not going to work.
Yeah. And what if a kid doesn't like something, just know even the old people might not like it. So
yeah. That's so true.
What's better that?
That's so true. As a final question, if you had one wish for the future of Uganda, what would that be?
One wish for the future of Uganda is me to have a self-sustaining food system.
To have created?
Yes, to create that self-sustaining food system. When I talk about food system, I'm trying to if the food systems are maintained, then we are guaranteed of food security. And if we are guaranteed of food security, then we are guaranteed of health. Food systems, not only, when we talk about food systems, if food systems are running very well, we are prolonging the health span of human beings, but not just the lifespan. Most people target the lifespan. You can live longer on medication, but it's better to live longer even off medication when you're using food as your medicine. So that is the future that I see for Uganda, where people have embraced food as their medicine. And of course, celebrating it as an indigenous heritage factor. That is the future that I see for Uganda ahead.
I love that. I want to be part of that future.
Yeah. Excellent. To be a very big pleasure.
Yeah. Oh,
and you're already in that future, and you're one of the people that are shaping that future.
Yeah, somehow with you, together with people like you, right? Yeah. So thank you so much, Alfred, for your time. And I'm looking forward to having you more often on the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure sharing and being here with you, and everything you have shared with me, and the love I have experienced at Body and Soil. Sometimes I felt I don't deserve it, but it's really intense.
Oh, that's so nice.
I'm so appreciative, and thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed this interview with Alfred. I really enjoyed talking to him, and I'm really looking forward to working together with him, as well as all the other nutritionists from Nutri-Safe Communities. For the future of this podcast, we'll be inviting more people like Alfred, people who are researching health issues and solutions in Uganda and across Africa, but who don't always have the platform to share their findings. You can help us grow by subscribing to the podcast and sharing it with others who might find it valuable. All the links you need to connect with us, our newsletter, YouTube channel, and LinkedIn are in the show notes below. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to have you with us again in the next episode. Ben.